Tonight on CTV News at 5.
If it can get one person to stop smoking or one person to not start, I think it's worth it.
Graphic images, new cigarette packages send a message about the risks of smoking.
They say that that's as good a shape as it'll ever be right now.
And they've got you covered. The world's longest covered bridge celebrates a major milestone.
A clear and very warm night ahead with sizzling summer temperatures through the end of the week.
Live from the Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 5.
Good evening and welcome to CTV News at 5. I'm Maria Panopoulos. Thank you for joining us. First at 5 tonight, warning signs. Cigarette packages have a bold new look and it's not pretty. Graphic photos depict the devastating health effects of smoke, from explicit images of cancer to heart disease and addiction. As CTV's Ryan McDonald reports, the images aim to make smokers quitters. Ryan.
Maria, since August the 1st, these new photos have been appearing on cigarette packages, along with new messages, warnings that have been starting to appear on individual cigarettes themselves. The images are not pretty, but photos like these can now be seen on cigarette packages in stores across the country.
I started smoking when I was 13, and I quit in 2016.
Candace Paul smoked for more than 20 years. I showed her the new photos today and asked what she would have thought of them back during the height of her habit.
I still would have agreed with them. Even when I was smoking a pack and a half a day, I didn't like the way it smelled. I didn't like the way it tasted. I didn't like the way it made me feel. But I was addicted, so I kept doing it.
A picture says 1,000 words.
Not surprisingly, the Canadian Cancer Society gives a thumbs up to this new round of health warnings, which include graphic depictions of things like colon cancer, a person after open heart surgery, and a stroke. When asked if these pictures might be too graphic, they said the results from photos like these over the past 25 years speak for themselves.
There are now 140 countries in the world that have implemented these picture-based health warnings following the Canadian example in 2001. If they weren't effective, we wouldn't be seeing so many countries worldwide doing this.
The Canadian Cancer Society adds that smoking rates have fallen from 26% nationwide a quarter century ago to just 11% today, though numbers remain a bit higher than that in Atlantic Canada. Also, 6 new messages appear on each cigarette itself now.
It may be that a kid who's experimenting will borrow or obtain a cigarette from a friend, may not see the package, but they'll see that warning on a cigarette.
Back in Membertou, Candace Paul has enjoyed a more active lifestyle since quitting smoking and figures these new labels might help some others make a similar change.
If it can get one person to stop smoking or one person to not start, I think it's worth it.
Now, what about vaping, you might ask? Rob Cunningham from the Canadian Cancer Society says that currently warnings appear on vaping packages, but not the devices themselves. He's hoping that the warnings might one day be on vaping devices themselves. He's also calling for provinces across the country to raise the minimum age to buy tobacco or e-cigarettes from 19 to 21, as he points out has been done already on Prince Edward Island. Maria.
Thank you, Ryan. Good information. Cox Heath, Nova Scotia this evening. That's where Ryan came to us from. And that actually brings us to tonight's web poll. We are asking, do you think graphic images on cigarette packs deter people from smoking? The options are simple. Yes or no. Go to ctvnewsatlantic.ca to weigh in and to see the latest poll results. All right, Jesse Thomas is standing by now with a look at the headlines. Hi there, Jesse. Good to see you.
Hey, Maria. Good to see you as well. Here's a few of the headlines we're working on for our 6 o'clock show. WestJet says things will start getting back to normal. This after yesterday's announcement that the one-day-long strike was over. As a tentative agreement has been settled, some customers have cited difficulty getting a hold of customer service as they try to rebook flights, and some maritime travelers have found themselves stranded in places like Europe as a result of the strike. We'll have that story at 6 o'clock. And in other news, a Nova Scotia man wanted for a number of offenses, including sexual assault, was arrested today in New Brunswick. Police issued a province-wide arrest warrant last week for the 38-year-old. The resident in a small community near the Nova Scotia border. They spotted the man and they said he had been hiding in nearby woods. We've got that story coming up as well. And we also have the story tonight of a tattoo that opens up lines of communication. A New Brunswick woman has found a new way to speak with her nonverbal son using a keyboard tattoo. Now it's an idea that's catching on with millions of views on social media. We'll tell you all about it and other news headlines later at 6 o'clock. For now, let's go over to Kaylin Mitchell, who's in the Weather Center. And I know that map behind you is going to be looking a lot more red with some heat warnings you're going to tell us about.
That's right. And the temperature map in behind me, it's going to get redder by the day here over the next couple of days. We're heading to a little bit of a heat wave for this first week of August for the region. Now, today's temperatures were already very warm, in some cases a degree or two above averages for early August. So as we're moving into this evening, most of those are sitting around the mid to high 20s. We did have humidity come down a little bit for today, which was a big relief because, wow, it was swampy air around the region yesterday. So humidex values in most cases are only making it feel a few degrees warmer. But even with that, it's the feel-like conditions right now are mostly up to the high 20s and some around 30. Here's a look at the dew point temperatures, which is a measure of that moisture in the air. And the passage of that front last night into early this morning brought those dew points down to the high single digits, low to mid-teens in most cases, which by our standards here in the Maritimes for the summertime is generally a pretty comfortable level. Now, it's not going to last long. That humidity is going to be rising again as we move towards the end of this week. So not only will the temperatures be coming up this week, but humidity will be rising as well. Winds right now around the region, we do have a west wind stirring that very warm air. It is blustery out there. We have some sustained winds 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. We're getting occasional gusts reported between 30 and 50, and in some cases up to around 60 kilometers per hour. There will continue to be a gusty wind around for this evening, and even a noticeable wind for tomorrow. I will have more on that, more on the heat warnings that Jesse mentioned when I'm back a little bit later on. Maria.
Good stuff. We'll see you in just a little bit, Kaylin. Right now, the 129th Natal Day Parade kept people entertained during yesterday's non-statutory holiday. There were 43 floats or other participants this year. They followed the parade route that spanned 2.3 kilometers through Dartmouth with a goal of making it more accessible. Thankfully, rain held off for the most part.
I think it's very Nova Scotian to have people come out in the dreary, overcast, 15-degree weather just to watch a parade and watch their community come together for Natal Day.
Good to see the parade, the great attendance, great turnout by the public and the community, and it just kind of goes to show that we're all working together to pull something like this off for everybody's enjoyment.
Unfortunately, last night's fireworks had to be called off due to weather. Officials are already looking ahead to next year's anniversary milestone, the 130th Natal Day Parade. Meanwhile, celebrations on New Brunswick Day stretched over the entire long weekend. Here's CTV's Nick Moore with some highlights.
Official celebrations for New Brunswick Day 2026 were held in Grand Falls on Monday.
This is a really special community, and we like to use New Brunswick Day to shine a light on the unique communities of New Brunswick.
Hundreds attended the event's opening ceremony, which was moved inside due to rain, hosted by New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt and Grand Falls Mayor Bertrand Beaulieu.
It also gives us an opportunity to show what really Grand Falls is all about, building a bilingual town where the two communities work together and celebrate together.
I wanted to recognize that people took the time to come out today and be together. Even though there's a lot of anger out there, there's a lot of worry out there, being around your neighbors and realizing that the support is there, that everybody is living these things together, I think it helps bring down the temperature. I think it helps reassure people.
Live music was front and center for several events and festivals in New Brunswick over the long weekend, including the Area 506 Festival in St. John. Celebrations to mark the 125th anniversary of the world's longest covered bridge in Hartland also served as an area homecoming.
It's the one time a year that everyone comes home, and we have up to 7,000 people in town on Monday. It's the day that Hartland comes alive. Yeah. The heart of Hartland.
Back in Grand Falls, Premier Holt followed a New Brunswick Day tradition of announcing new recipients of the province's highest honor, the Order of New Brunswick. This year, 10 people will be honored for their dedication and service to the province, its people, and communities in an official ceremony later this fall. Nick Moore, CTV News, Grand Falls.
Thank you, Nick, and congratulations to all of the recipients. And I want to let you know we are going to head back to Hartland a little later for that special anniversary and a little more coverage from there. When we return, though, we're going to go skin deep for this story.
Change is the most important. That's something that's worthy of being checked.
A maritime dermatologist wants to help you on the spot. His local efforts to encourage early diagnosis of skin cancer. Next. Two communities along the Canada-U.S. border continue a long-standing celebration of friendship this week. The 53rd International Homecoming Festival returns to St. Stephen, New Brunswick and Calais, Maine on Wednesday and will run until Sunday. An opening ceremony handshake between the mayors of both towns will officially start the festival tomorrow.
So the theme for 2026 is through the years. It's sort of an idea about going back in time, and people could think about all the themes that have happened in the festival since 53 years.
This weekend will also include a parade which will maneuver its way through both communities and a fireworks show over the St. Croix River visible from both towns. All right, on to our next story here. While there are many different types, we know that skin cancer is the most common cancer out there. And as CTV's Callum Smith reports, a Halifax dermatologist hopes a new pilot project will help get faster treatment for urgent cases.
An action-packed weekend on the Halifax waterfront, but against the backdrop of festivities and fun is a new and temporary point for healthcare.
It's called SPOT, which is suspicious photo overview and triage of lesions, which means that what we're trying to do is examine any spot or lesion that a patient might have.
Nova Scotia and PEI have been leading the country in melanoma rates, something Bill McKinnon knows all too well.
I had it once. I had a piece cut out of my chest there, and I got 4 brothers that also had some melanoma. So I thought this would be a good chance to get a checkup.
That's one of the reasons Dr. Richard Langley developed SPOT with medical students. Aside from primary care access challenges, there's also long wait times for referrals as a lineup formed before the clinic opened.
I think it's really important to be able to detect these earlier and just be able to triage it, and if you do have that, be able to see a physician sooner.
The SPOT team photographs lesions and captures a dermoscopic image to magnify and see beneath the skin. The results will be reviewed by a dermatologist, and patients are directed for follow-up.
That dissonance of like time being the factor of life, where someone can have a full life or have a few years of life, it really brings to perspective why initiatives like this are important.
And leaning on AI to see if that can help with diagnoses, bridging the care gap one photo at a time.
I think it's super great. I think everybody should probably get, if they got any marks or moles or anything like that, they're not sure, get the, it's free. I mean, it's right there. There's no waiting time here to this one.
If you have something that's new, that's changing, that looks atypical, it's got asymmetry, irregular border, different colors, large diameter, it's evolving. Change is the most important. That's something that's worthy of being checked. And the sooner you do it, the better.
The SPOT program hopes to launch in some pharmacies in the coming weeks as part of another pilot. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Thank you very much, Callum. And as we come into a very hot week and a very sunny week, a good idea to remind everyone about some sunscreen, because it's going to get pretty hot out there.
Don't forget about the sun protection, right?
Yeah.
Hats, sunscreen, some of those sun clothes work really well as well.
Or stay indoors if you can't find a sunscreen,
true.
maybe.
And even beyond that, I mean, temperature's going to be so hot this week, it might not be a bad idea to every once in a while take a little bit of a break somewhere a little bit cooler to cool down. We're looking out here at Acadia Park in Lower Sackville. I will have more in the forecast next.
St. Stephen, New Brunswick will host the Canadian Basketball Hall of Fame's induction ceremony for the class of 2026 on August 20th and honor 10 new inductees. The ceremony will be part of a 3-day fundraiser called the Archie in support of the world's oldest basketball court, which of course is in St. Stephen.
Since 1978, they've held it in Toronto. Only once they held it outside of Toronto, which was Vancouver in 2007. This is certainly the first time they're having it east of Toronto, and we're pretty proud to host the Hall of Fame ceremony. So we're in the process of raising $18 million, and people really feel like this is the final step to get this to fruition.
There will be a downtown basketball block party on the same day as the Hall of Fame ceremony with live music, food, games, and so much more, including contests. And again, we mentioned August 20th. So Kaylin, well, it's still a little ways away, but still August weather. So we're hoping for some sunshine for that outdoor basketball game.
Well, it's our game too, right? Didn't we just do a story last week where the national 1 versus 5 championships being held down in New York, and the Canadians have been walking away with the winners from that?
For sure,
Times, yeah.
Practice makes perfect, Kaylin.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of sunshine, a lot of that in the forecast for this week, including, of course, for today on this Tuesday. Let's take a look at our sunrise and sunset times. And we're looking at Odell Park here in the Fredericton area. They have a little bit of an art installation right now. Harold the Hippo. It's kind of out there in those pond waters. Let's take a look at our weather systems map. Now, barometric pressure is rising now that we are in behind a weather front that moved its way across the Maritimes yesterday, and that did bring in some areas of some rain and some showers. The rainfall amounts were very varied in the range of around 5 to 30 millimeters for the region. Many picked up just the range of a few to several millimeters, but a few areas picked up about 20 to 30 millimeters of rain. And a little bit of less humid air came in behind that front as well, and it brought humidity levels down a little bit lower today for the Maritimes. Those we talked about earlier, those humidity levels are going to be rising as we make our way throughout this week. In behind it, there is this area of high pressure. It's going to center itself around the eastern seaboard of the United States. We are going to fall underneath the influence of that area of high pressure and this ridge in the jet stream. And underneath that ridge, there is some very, very warm air, and that's why our temperatures are headed up. As we take a look at things on radar right now, not much is showing up. Expected to remain that way for the rest of tonight. Tonight in the Maritimes, clear and very warm. And that's how we start off the day. Tomorrow as well, there might be a little bit of patchy fog around coastal areas in the southwest Nova Scotia, Yarmouth, for example, but that should be clearing up or dissipating quite quickly as we make our way into the afternoon, which is going to be sunny for all 3 maritime provinces, and temperatures even hotter than they were today. Now, something that's going to continue to be around for this evening and still noticeable overnight and for tomorrow will be the wind. We definitely have a bit of some blustery, we definitely have a blustery wind right now. We have some wind gusts this evening that are still topping up between 30 and 60 kilometers per hour. They're going to be diminishing a bit as we make our way towards midnight, but it remains breezy during the overnight hours and for the start of the day for tomorrow. And then Wednesday afternoon, most of the Maritimes will be in a west wind that'll be sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour with some gusts between 20 and 40, but it will be nice to have to stir around the hot air a little bit. There could be some gusts as high as 30 to 50 kilometers per hour for Prince Edward Island and parts of the east of Nova Scotia, including the North Shore and Cape Breton. And there, the wind mostly out of the northwest. Here's looking at the low temperatures in the forecast for tonight. Not all that low, mostly in the range of around 15 to 20 degrees, so clear but very warm tonight. And then highs for tomorrow. They take a step up compared to today. Lots of highs for the province of New Brunswick into the low 30s in Miramichi. Watching Miramichi for maybe the hottest spot in the region for tomorrow. I've got a high of 35 in the forecast right now. Charlottetown, Summerside up to around 31 degrees. And for most of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures will be in the high 20s and low 30s. And this is sort of the start of this heat wave. I'm going to call it a heat wave because it extends into Friday of this week. And because of that, we have heat warnings that have been issued for all 3 maritime provinces. Good portion of New Brunswick, except for a few parts of the northwest and around the Bay of Fundy coastline, out across Prince Edward Island, and out across mainland Nova Scotia. Not in effect yet for Cape Breton. You should monitor in case there are any updates or any additions to these heat warnings throughout the week. Let's take a look at our weather watcher for tonight. And tonight's weather watcher is 8-year-old Jackson Gurney from Canso, Nova Scotia. Jackson has sent us a drawing of being on the beach during a sunny summer day. That's a good spot to be over the next few days. Thank you, Jackson. Weather watchers can come into CTV Weather Watchers, P.O. Box 1653, Halifax, Nova Scotia, B3J2Z4, or email kaylin.mitchell@bellmedia.ca. Maria.
Thank you, Kaylin. After the break, we'll head to Hartland for this story.
For us to come all the way from Ontario was like super meaningful. There's a lot of nostalgia coming back here.
The world's longest covered bridge celebrates another milestone, standing and spanning the test of time. Next. A major milestone was marked over the weekend for one of our region's most recognizable structures. CTV's Nick Moore makes the link in this story.
It has stood as a symbol representing New Brunswick over the span of 125 years, and it holds just as much of a place in the hearts of many. For Shauna Bontier, the world's longest covered bridge linking Hartland and Somerville across the St. John River is a symbol of how her parents fell in love.
My dad lived on that side of the bridge, and my mom lived on that side of the bridge. And I might cry here, sorry, but my mom passed away last year. But when they were first dating, this is the bridge that they would have to cross to see each other.
Bontier returned to Hartland over the long weekend along with her father for events marking the bridge's 125th anniversary.
For us to come all the way from Ontario was like super meaningful. There's a lot of nostalgia coming back here.
It was my means of transportation to Hartland all of the days of my growing up.
Vehicles were blocked from the bridge, allowing for a church service, suppers, and market to take over. A new decorative archway as you enter the bridge from Hartland was installed just a few days ago.
It shows two communities coming together to build a bridge in 1901, which is exactly what happened because before they were using ferries and ice bridges.
An ice jam caused significant damage to the bridge in April 1920.
Took out two of the western spans and one pier, but remember they are all made of wood.
Right.
The piers included. So that's when they decided to cover the bridge.
That happened by 1922 with a pedestrian walkway added in 1945. In recent years, there's been several extended closures for vehicles on the bridge, including one from earlier this year, which lasted about 6 months, allowing for work to replace wooden boards and repair the pedestrian walkway.
They say that it's as good a shape as it'll ever be right now, so we're hoping it's not going to be closed again too soon.
A true trademark of the community, connecting people here for 125 years. Nick Moore, CTV News, Hartland.
Thank you, Nick, and congratulations, Hartland, and to many, many, many more.
Certainly hope so, for sure. And instead of going over the water over the next couple of days, you might want to take some time and take a little dip in it.
Yeah, get in it to cool off.
It is going to be hot this first week of August here in the Maritimes, and it looks like the heat's going to extend all the way into Friday before maybe it breaks a bit on the weekend with a chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms, but more on that coming up at 6.
Excellent. We'll see you and Jesse at 6 o'clock. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody. The national news is next.